Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK and WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, for checking out the episode. Hit that subscribe button, of course, so you can keep up with the entire series. You'll get 3 new interviews just like this one sent to you every single week. It's a new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Makes it a great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover those new ones as well. You can grab us anywhere you get your podcast from: Spotify, Apple Podcast, NPR, WFPK.org, Consequence, or right here on YouTube for the video versions. Anywhere you get your podcast from, you can subscribe to Kyle Meredith with, and I hope you do. I'm Kyle Meredith today, talking with actor Luis Castellanos about the movie Uglies, out now on Netflix. Now, this is based on the Scott Westerfeld book series, iconic book series, a futuristic world in which a compulsory operation wipes out physical differences and makes everyone pretty. Stars Joey King, Chase Stokes, Laverne Cox, Keith Powers, who we also talked to on this series. We're going to be getting into there's so much to talk about here. The fact that it was a book series. There are lots of fan expectations I want to talk with JL about. He's also been doing a lot in action, and so we're going to hear about the parallels to movies like Breakwater and his upcoming roles. Black Spines, St. Clair. He's in the thriller era. He says on that one. We're going to be hearing about working with director McG, and of course the big themes of the movie: free will, freedom of choice. All that and more. Let's talk Uglies, out now on Netflix. It's Kyle Meredith with Luis Castellanos.
Hello.
How's it
Hey,
going? Good
Katie.
morning.
Where in the East Coast are you?
Nowhere actually near a coast, unfortunately. I'm the furthest of the Eastern time zone as you can get. I'm in Kentucky, in Louisville.
Okay, Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, yeah.
I was there 2022. I think it's the city of Bourbon, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. It is the
Yeah.
city of Bourbon. It is the city of Muhammad Ali and Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and we make almost all of the world's disco balls, which most
I
people
did
don't
not
know.
know that. I did
Yeah.
not know that.
I've always said like it's a party. You got the bourbon, you got the disco balls. We've supplied the
I had some bourbon while being there. I remember it was pretty good.
yeah, man. You're in France though. That's not bad.
Yeah, not too shabby. Close to the beach, beach bumming it,
Yeah.
all summer long. I
Is that
can't
is
complain.
is this pleasure? Is that what this is? Vacation time?
Yeah, I would say that. Just a little vacation.
Nice. Well, man, it's a pleasure to actually meet you here. And I should do the congratulations, right? Uglies. Like
Right.
what a
Yeah. Thank
cool
you. I
movie. Yeah.
appreciate that.
I noticed like so you'd come off of was it Breakwater? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Breakwater.
you've got this
Well,
like
I
this
mean,
environmental thing groove that you're sort of happening here with these movies.
yeah, kind of. I mean, I didn't think of that. Breakwater was a really interesting one. I mean, we shot that in Mexico. It was a really cool set because it was the first time that I had actually really tapped into that action guy within me that I've always wanted to tap into. And then I remember, if I remember correctly, I went from Breakwater to Budapest to do another movie called Get Lost.
Mm.
I think they changed the title now to Lost in Wonderland. I'm not sure when that's coming out, but hopefully soon. Teaser. No. And then after another one after that, it was then Uglies. We did that at the end of the year 2021.
Yeah.
Wow, it feels like forever ago.
But
It's a
I mean,
long
you're on
time.
that ride right now, right? I mean, that's what this is.
I would like to think so, but then again, you don't know how this industry goes. You're just kind of
Absolutely.
riding the wave as it comes and goes. I'm a surfer. I'm a surfer in Hollywood. And just go with the flow.
Ready for whatever wave comes next, right?
Exactly, exactly.
That's that's cool. I was looking at the 2 movies because like, man, you're doing the stuff with the aircraft. In several movies you've got like it feels like you are finding a little bit of a groove. That's it's
Yeah, well, I mean, I love action. I
Mhm.
grew up watching all those Tom Cruise, you name it. It's Jason Statham. I love that guy. He's
Tom Cruise
awesome.
went to high school here too, by the way. There's another Louisville
In
thing.
Kentucky, I did not know that. That's pretty cool. It's like Muhammad Ali. You have it all, man. You have the bourbon, Muhammad Ali, Tom Cruise, disco balls, everything.
That's it. But that's it. So I mean, that's what spoke to you. Like that makes it, when we're little, I feel like it's sort of one way, not one way or the other. I mean, everybody, you can go a million different ways, but something about like action becomes your calling or comedy when you're,
Yeah. Yeah,
scrawny
I'm
and
honestly, I think I'm horrible at comedy. It's just not my thing. I would love to give it a go, but it's probably not gonna hit, the
uh-huh.
way it needs to be. But action kind of came naturally internally because I'm an athlete. I grew up as an athlete. I was a wrestler, the football guy, the track guy, all these things. So for me, it was just always about like, hey, what can I do with these hands? You know?
Mhm.
So that's kind of why I'm interested in it. I want to tap into that like high school guy that was, on the wrestling mat, on the football field, jumping up and down, or running track. I want to be running in movies. All these things. I like it.
Yeah. Did you get to like try out like stage fighting early on? Like was that or did you find all this once you got into the job?
No, I found it all on the job, honestly. I remember the first type of thing remotely close to it that I did was 13 Reasons Why. I learned it on that set. It was such a long time ago, but I remember I had to learn choreography, and I'm like, well, this is cool. I mean, it's not the real thing, but it kind of works. We're selling it. And then it was just job after job after job. You start to really appreciate the choreography, the work that you kind of just really put in behind the scenes to get everything right, especially for the camera. So it was, as an athlete, you really think with that brutality in your mind of just competition and winning, but this was a bit more technical.
Well then so Uglies comes around and it's based off of these books which if you were the right age, what in the 2000s, like people
Yeah.
were all about this. Like, were you familiar with the series before you signed on?
Before I signed on, yes, but not too long before I signed on. I have a little sister, when I told her about it, she was like, "Oh my God, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, you know this thing?" She was like, "Yeah, it's huge." I was like, "Oh, that's your brother." I had to throw that in there. No, I mean, not back in '05, nothing remotely to that, but I found out about it when I was on the set of Tall Girl, when they were still working on the script, same production company. So I was just like, hey, let me just get my hands on the book. You never know what can happen.
Sure.
And then next thing you know, you kind of go through the process. It comes knocking on your door, and you're like, I figured this might happen. And then destiny arrives, and you're just in the movie. You find yourself on set in the middle of the winter with no sleeves on, freezing to death. So can't complain, but it was kind of cold.
Yeah. Where did you all shoot this? Where were those
In
woods?
Atlanta. In
Okay.
Atlanta.
Where everything is
I think it
shot.
was Stone Mountain or something like that. What we call it. Yeah, it was such a cool set. Such a
Yeah.
cool set. I mean, you kind of really just you're in it. You're in it. I mean, well, of course, we had the studio, with the blue screen kind of stuff. It's a big CGI film, but for the majority of the time, us, like the Smokies, the Uglies,
Mhm.
we were just in the woods, and it was surreal because you kind of just really see you give a lot of gratitude to all these guys, this department that just build these sets, and you're just like, wow, like there's nothing blue screen about this right now.
Right.
This is just all pure real.
Yeah.
And it was a first for me. It was a first for me. Other
Especially.
than like just being in a high school
Mhm.
that looks like a regular normal high school, you're just like, wait, no, this is completely in nature.
Especially for the cast who really had to crutch on the other side of things, like mostly, in the pretties world, like, so much of the acting is done. Like I was talking with Keith about this too, is like how much of the acting, how much of the world building was on the paper, and how much do you imagine that you then like for you, whatever you imagine on the paper, like how close is it when you finally see it on the big screen?
Um, I mean, I can kind of maybe go on forever about this because my brain just went all over the place. I read the book, the
Mhm.
first book, so I had like a bit of a vivid way about visualizing everything, but I wasn't sure the degree that it would really be there in terms of sci-fi and the world. Like, because for me, I was really focused on Croy, and the smoky world. But I was really, really curious as to, hey, what is this pretty world actually going to look like? Because I'm an ugly, so I don't know.
And by the way,
Unfortunately.
also brought that up with Keith. I said, Keith, who was a model at one point in his career, I was like, everyone cast in this, are born Uglies. It's like there's
Yeah.
not one ugly person in this cast.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah,
You're not the first one.
that's gotta be a it's like when you sign up for it, you're like, all right, I'm an ugly. That's
I'm pretty ugly. My mom, she's like, really, you're ugly? I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, you could have done better, mom.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Sorry to burst your bubble.
No, we were talking about the books too, and you're reading it and you having this image in your mind. I mean, that's what you sort of deal with on a movie like this is all the readers, with Croy who they've imagined what he looks like.
Yeah.
And now you have to what is it? Do you find that you want to overcome those images? Do you to replace those images to, meet the expectation? Like what is it to kind of embody something that people already sort of have an image for?
I think it's just about meeting the expectation for the character, opposed to, the set. I know they worked very closely with Scott Westerfeld, like that's great. And of course, we're going to do our best to make it as close as possible to the book, and I'm sure they did a great job. But for me, it was just about like, hey, who is this Croy? Does he have hair? Because I don't, and So these are things that were really important to me. My relationship with Tally, how I was visualizing her and us at the same time, me just kind of like peeking around, seeing, hey, is she trustworthy or not? What's the degree of trust I have for her? Am I forgiving at any point in the movie? These things are important because, you don't want to come off as that character that is just like, hey, that was not Croy in the book. He came off a little bit rough or too strong or not strong enough, and he really wasn't that. So who is Croy? That was my biggest question. Now, when you tap into a movie like this, and of course, you're working with McGee. This guy is so intense. He's got
McGee,
so
who
much
made some
energy.
of the greatest music videos of my
Yeah.
coming of age years, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy, and he transmits that energy to you on the set, and you're just like, okay, it's time to go. Like I feel like I'm again gonna go play football. It is what it is.
Oh, I heard
He's
a
a guy's
story.
guy, so he gets it.
Yeah, I heard a story from the lead singer of the Bare Naked Ladies once because McGee did the 1 week video for Bare Naked Ladies, and he said he
Okay.
pitched it by walking into the room and jumping up on the table, and
Yeah,
it was like he was
totally.
riling up, as you said, like the kids in the football team. It's like that's how he just pitched the concept to a three
Yeah.
minute music video.
That is so McGee, so McGee. He's honestly a great guy because you learn a lot from him, on the set, especially when it comes to a project this big, you're just kind of like, hey, where's that energy that everyone needs, and where's that we all need to tap into who we really are, what we're trying to tell here. And he's somebody that, of course, while we're all trying to tell a story, he's telling you the story that we're trying to tell, so you kind of just get into that flow
Mhm.
over and over and over again, take after take after take. You may be tired, but he's still going, so therefore we're all going and nobody is tired. So I appreciate that a lot from him. It's awesome, really.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're juggling, the topics in the way that you all do. I mean, yes, there is this sense of fun. They're kids, everybody just wants to have a good time, except for you all, and Smokies. I mean, there is a way of living. There is work to be done.
Yeah.
But this story that you tell of, and I'd like to hear you talk about it more than me, but when I look at it, it's that story of, sure, aging, but also what we deal with in today with, apps and social media and all of that stuff. Like what is the bigger picture, I guess, the way you see it with this movie?
I would say free will.
Yeah.
That's the big picture. Being able to choose who you want to be at the end of the day, not feeling like society has to impose something onto you. That's kind of like what lives inside of all of the Smokies. All of us ugly guys that ran away. I think that's the biggest thing, because in the smoke, everyone is themselves. You're yourself. It's natural. We work with our hands. We all consider ourselves beautiful, externally, internally, you name it. That's what makes us us. In Pretty Town, that's the complete opposite. They strip you from all of that. You're not you anymore. So it almost feels like you have this society that's like up here, up top, trying to impose that you need to be pretty all of a sudden. It's like, well, who told you I was ugly to begin with, you know? So I think it's free will, being able to choose, we're not obviously promoting like get the lip stuff, get this, get that, but hey.
There is some temptation though. Like
There is
take
temptation.
yourself, yeah, outside of the book. Like this is you and me talking, real people.
Yeah.
Like red pill, blue pill, right? Like where your
Yeah.
life is going to be carefree. Like even the cosmetics, whatever. Like you don't have to worry about it getting old in the same way, and everything's going to be taken care of. Suddenly, I'm like, that doesn't sound bad. That's
It doesn't sound bad, right? Not at all. I mean, really, the only thing that because you have a point there. And the one thing that, let's say, like I look at myself and I'm like, oh, well, maybe I have some insecurities here and there. Maybe I can have really long hair, all of a sudden, I don't know, nicer eyes. But you realize, like, over time, was it really worth it?
sure. It's
You
the
know?
whole you need to know the cold to appreciate the warm
Exactly.
kind of a thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's oh, you brought a good point there. It's interesting.
Now, have you been tempted to read ahead? Because obviously the book, we're talking trilogy here, and the way the movie
Yeah.
ends, etc. But have you been tempted to say, okay, I want to know what happens with Croy?
I have been very tempted. I have been super tempted. I believe I even started reading the second book as soon as I finished production on the first film. And I was like, let me just begin. And then I was just like, it's just too soon. Let me get a pause. Let me just breathe a little bit over here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm excited to honestly explore the rest of the story with Croy because he plays a very prominent role. And, I think this is public info,
Mhm.
in the next book, he
I mean, the
delivers
books are out, so that's
the books are out. I know he delivers the cure to Tally, all these things. You know, so I really am excited to see how he navigates his journey, going back to where he came from. Going back to that Prettyville and around Ugly Town, and seeing if that triggers anything and whatnot.
yeah, that's gonna be cool. On outside of all this, I mean, we were mentioning all the stuff that you did, and you got you let's see, St. Clair. That was also came out this
Sinclair,
year, and Black Spines, if I got that right.
yeah, Black Spine, St. Clair. These are my this is my thriller era,
You go from
as I
action now
like
to
to call it.
thriller. That's yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just trying to navigate. Honestly, man, I'm just trying to have fun. It's an industry that is like I'm just trying to act for a living,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
this is what I've always wanted to do. I remember, growing up, while I was playing football, doing all these sports, I was kind of like the Zac Efron in High School Musical. I would sneak out, go do the chorus, and go do the West Side Story and the Jersey Boys, all these things. So then, while I'm in college trying to be a doctor, I'm like, I just kind of want to like act or do something like that and dance on stage. And I felt really, you know, intrigued by it. I love these big movies and that I've always watched, and these actors, the Denzel Washington, the De Niro's, of my time, and you're watching all these things and you're like, oh my God, who is Daniel Day-Lewis? This is intense. And you're just drawn by it. And it just attracted me to pursue acting as a whole and make that my thing. And yeah, I got to work with some great people, Mitzi, very own, Bella Thorne on St. Clair. And that was a fantastic journey because, again, first thriller that I have done. And then I was fortunate enough to do something that I've always wanted to do, and it was produce a movie.
Yeah.
That's
Right. You got
where
the
Black
executive
Spine.
producer kit. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so, which all kind of just came from St. Clair, meeting people that knew this director that had the script. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like that's cool. Let's hear more about it. You meet this person, and you make the intro to the next thing, and you're like, hey, I think I'm producing something here. You know?
I mean, it's
I'm
great
like,
the
I
way
don't know
this
what I'm doing,
that's the way
but
the
we're
whole
gonna
industry
figure it
works.
out.
As long as you're out there and just around, the
Yeah.
conversations you have always leads to something, you
Yeah,
know.
before you know it, you have a script in front of you, you have a team around you, you help navigate this machine, and you're putting it all together with obviously your manager, your team, and all these things. And next thing you know, you find yourself on a set and you're just like, wow, like this is so cool. And on top of that, it was my first time leading a project. I was number one on the call sheet, and trying to carry a story. So I'm excited. I was really excited for the challenge, but I'm really you know, I would say nervous to
Sure.
see what everyone thinks. It's a first time for everything. So super excited. I believe we should be hearing about that soon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. There's little
I
bits of
won't make
news
it.
here
I
and
won't make
there.
it any announcements yet until
Yeah.
they come out from production. I don't want to get in
Awesome.
trouble.
No, I understand. I understand.
You're tempting me.
But you know what? You've done to the action era. You're doing the thriller era. So I'm sorry, but comedy's next. I think you can do it. I think you can do it.
I would probably like to play one more action, maybe an athlete, before I
Uh-huh.
jump back into any comedy. I do comedy at home with my wife, or so, that's about it,
Remember the
So
great comedy. I mean, you play it straight. All the comedy happens around you, and still you're the
yeah,
comedian. That's the
yeah.
beauty of it.
At the end of the day, every time I've spoken to a comedic, actor, they always say that it really just comes down to the script.
Mhm.
So if you have a good script, and that goes for anything across the board, everything, every project, you have a good writer that gives you a really good script, the work is there. It's right in front of you. You just have to do your part, act, go out there, perform, and voila.
Hit your mark and say your line.
Yeah, hit your mark and say your lines.
That's
And
it.
don't forget.
Man, congratulations again on Uglies. This is setting something up. It's such a cool movie to watch. You guys did just fantastic work on it, and thanks for taking the time to talk about it.
Man, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. I'm excited, getting back in the groove of letting all these things that I have done, coming out, letting the world see what we've been doing. Super excited. Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.